For my documentary, I chose to do the Mayan as the past food production system, and Arizona's food production as the current system, and to involve in a food production system, I chose bioscience. The Mayans had many different ways of getting their food to the general populace. They had a couple of different grains to feed them, corn and maize. The village was found under 17 feet of ash, and it was preserved, and it had the tuber manioc, which accounted for the lost calories they needed. Slash and burn agriculture was used to clear out the spaces needed, as well as terrace farming was used to help them grow their crops. The Mayans grew many different types of plants to feed the general populace. Some of these plants included the prickly pear fruit, the pine nut, the flaxseed. Some of the animals they domesticated were wild turkeys and dogs. The biggest impact this system had on humans and the environment was probably the loss of biodiversity, since single animals were just domesticated instead of the native jungle. It was very difficult to keep the biodiversity intact, and plus of the monocultures of corn and such. Overall, this food production system was not sustainable. Socially, slaves had to be used to work the fields and the terrace farms of the Mayans, and economically, it was just a corrupt system that would not be able to continue on into the future. The environmental aspects of this included the loss of biodiversity. Some of the needs and values of Arizona food production system is probably the convenience of the food we have here. Much of the foods we have are exported from out of the state and from even out of the country, such as orange juice, which can be imported from all the way from Brazil. Due to the climate in Arizona, we can grow many different crops, such as soybeans, wheat, and almonds. The main impact this food production system has on the environment is also, as like the Mayans, the monocultures that are used, and the single breeding of domestic animals such as the cattle. The biggest difference between these two food production systems was how the food production was handled. For instance, the grain. The Mayans had to use slaves to mill their grain for them, but we have modern grain processors. Alright, so what was the drive or the motivation to help create the food production system here?
I think there were a couple things over the past, I would say probably 4 or 5 years. We've, been working with different community organizations. We started off when I first started here working with the Roosevelt Row Grow House, and just saw it as a good opportunity for students to get a connection to not just the environment, but more looking a little bit more closely at, I guess, just our connection to food. A lot of students don't really, I think, always see the connection between what they buy at the supermarket and something that's actually produced from, the ground, or produced from an organism that's alive. Because when you see it in the supermarket, sometimes it's just sort of removed. It doesn't seem like it came from a living thing. So that was, that's a big part of it. Just with some of our experiences with the grow house, I think.
You guys got a unique situation here. This right here. This what you guys' best attribute is. This right here. This is a drip system right here. Every morning between 6 and 7, that comes on and water this whole thing for about an hour. Water that little space there for about an hour. Every one of them. And all these spaces. So everywhere you see a drip, one of those black lines like that, and every one of those holes, that means that's a drip system. That's why it's wet and moist in there now. And these things water 365 days a year for about an hour. So you guys don't have to worry about doing water. It's about, you know what I'm saying? It waters itself. It's self-watering unless you guys just one day like hot or something real hot and you look dry, then you guys pour it. But as for any other thing, it'll stay warm. And what happens since it's so cool, the ground gonna stay moist now. It's not hot, so the ground will stay wet up on there basically all times until the summertime.